Welcome back to Plant Etc. for another video. Now that you have started your leafy greens such as kale, Swiss chard, celery, check out my other video, February Seeds to Start Now, to get more information. You are now getting excited. You are watching your little seeds grow. You are getting very excited about your plants, but make sure you stop. Do not plant anything out yet. Please wait a few minutes, okay? So before you start anything, you need to consider your soil. If you want your garden to produce a bigger harvest and healthier plants, the secret is in feeding your soil. Not just your plants. Of course, you're going to fertilize your plants, but make sure you feed your soil. And today in this video, we're going to look at the 10 powerful soil hacks to supercharge your soil and to unlock some amazing growth in your plant and to make sure that this year is your biggest harvest ever. Know your soil before you start growing anything. It is very important that you check your soil. If it is too sandy, is it too heavy of a clay? Is it always waterlogged? Does it have really poor drainage? It just lets water kind of pool on top of it. Is it kind of muddy? All of that means that your plants will lack some nutrients that are very important, and that's going to stunt their growth. They're not going to grow very well if you have poor soil. So knowing your soil type is the first step to creating a healthy garden and a more productive garden. Compost. It's the number one soil supercharger. If you only do one thing to improve your soil, start with compost. It adds organic matter, beneficial microbe, and is an essential nutrient that your plants are going to love. You can apply it in the spring or you can apply it in the fall. If you did that already last fall, that's great. Of course, the best is if you're able to create your own compost, but if you don't, just purchase a few bags and add it to the ground. Of course, if you're going to make your own compost, I've already said this so many times, use your kitchen scrap. It will turn into some dark, rich soil that you can spread on your garden bed later on. It is the easiest thing you can do, and the simplest and cheapest thing you can do is to start a little pile in the corner of the garden, however you want. Spreading it on top of the soil is the way to apply it. It is just perfect, simple way to add nutrients to your garden. Worm casting. I mean, you don't even need to hear me say this. I have a few videos that talk about how to start your own worm bin. I really believe in that process. Worm casting are what we call in nature superfood. They are the black gold of the garden. They improve soil structure. They help retain moisture. They help boost the plant's immunity. Mix it into your planting hole, or you can brew a tea from it too to fertilize your plant. You can use it as a spray if you want. If you don't know how to start it, really just check out my video on how to start your own worm bin and how great it is to have a little worm bin in the corner of the garden to really produce this beautiful, beautiful black gold that will really help your plant to grow and flourish throughout the season. You can use it while you're doing your seedlings. Even if you're doing it in a container, it's still the same process. You just add it to the soil where you're planting. Biochar. It's a long-lasting soil improvement. Now, what is biochar? Biochar is a type of charcoal, basically, that is produced by burning wood at a very high temperature to remove the water and gases. So that way you are left with really a black carbon-rich substance. The charcoal will improve the soil fertility, help plants grow better, increase water retention. That's one of the great features of biochar. Biochar is like a sponge for nutrient and moisture. This special form of charcoal, in a way, can last hundreds of years in the soil. That's why it's called really a soil investment. It will hold water, improve the soil structure, and support beneficial microbes, like I've said. If you have sandy or depleted soil, this is the kind of soil improvement that you want to add. Soil that have been neglected or on new construction site where they've left you with almost nothing, add some biochar to your area and it will be great. The biochar will improve the soil structure and help your little plants. Mycorrhiza. Now we're getting into the magic of the fungus and of the fungi in a way. So mycorrhiza basically means fungus root. It is the relationship between fungi and plant. This relationship is developed over thousands of years. It is like magic. It is a teeny underground network that attaches to the plant roots to supercharge the roots. It's basically like a Wi-Fi for plants. It allows the roots of the plant to reach nutrient and access water that are beyond its reach. So basically it uses the mushroom fungi's power to go get more nutrient. So mycorrhiza fungi form a natural partnership with plants and roots, helping it to absorb more water and nutrients. So if you inoculate your plant with some of this, you are going to encourage the natural fungi growth into the roots, and you're going to have way more roots on the plant. And this is going to help it get more nutrient. This is great for fruit trees, tomatoes, and perennials. However, it's a big no-no on cabbage, beets, and spinach. They just don't like it. It's not what they need. But if you do this for your tomatoes and for your peppers, you're really going to see so much more success. This is one of the things that I'm going to try here for sure on my tomato plants to see if I can improve how much my production and how much more tomatoes I can get. If I even start to use peppers again, maybe I will. But like I said, don't use this on your brassicas for sure. Now, seaweed or fish fertilizer, that's the great free resource from the ocean. If you are lucky enough to live by the ocean, you can go collect this for free, of course. After a big storm, there'll be some seaweed on the beach. You can go collect it, give it a rinse to remove some of the salt, but otherwise let it dry and then incorporate it into your soil before you start planting. If you have the opportunity to let it completely dry, you can also put it into a blender or a food processor, one of the old ones, and turn it into a powder that you can also use while you're planting. If for some reason you don't have access to that, and of course not everybody lives by the ocean and can collect seaweed, you can use fish fertilizer. Adding fish fertilizer as an organic matter to your soil for your plant's health, it's very good also. That's a good substitute. So seaweed or fish fertilizer provides trace mineral, help with plant growth hormones, and organic matter, of course. If for some reason you don't have a lot of fish fertilizer, you can even just spray or drench your soil with it if you can't incorporate it into the soil itself. Fish fertilizer really helps with plant stress. It really helps it grow and overall good health for your plant. Bone meal and blood meal are great nutrient boosters. So bone meal is rich in phosphorus. It is the white kind of powder that you will add to your soil to help with strong roots, and it is excellent for root crops such as your beets and your carrots and your potatoes. While blood meal, on the other hand, which is actually red, it's good for your leafy greens. So the stuff we just started recently, such as your kale and collards, when you're going to be ready to plant them out, it's good to add a little bit of blood meal, to the soil to help increase their leaves and to produce very lush green leaves. You can also combine them, and that makes a really good nutrient for the soil. Now, wood chips, of course, you've seen this. So I have wood chips in my garden paths. That's how I prevent weeds. And wood chips are excellent at preventing weeds. They help retain moisture and they encourage beneficial fungi. As they break down, they slowly, of course, improve the soil fertility. In a no-till garden kind of scenario, you can add it onto your paths and, of course, around trees. That's mainly what I do with my wood chips. You can get your wood chips from the city, or you can purchase it in a bag and add it to your garden. Now, manure, it's a slow release superfood. So if you can, get a wheelbarrow full of aged manure. If it hasn't been aged yet, just put it in a corner for a little bit to let it age before you add it to your garden, because it might burn your plants. But once it's aged, manure is a natural fertilizer, of course, loaded with nutrient. But use only composted or aged manure. Fresh manure is going to burn your plants. Don't do that. That's not going to be beneficial. Heavy feeders like tomatoes and squash and corn love manure, so you can add that as you're planting them. That would be excellent. In the fall or early spring is the best time to add manure to your garden bed. Now, comfrey. Comfrey, it's the best DIY simple fertilizer that you can do. It's very easy. You just collect the leaves, the flowers, everything of this great plant. You just fill it up into a garbage bin, into a bucket, fill it up with water, and just let it sit. It's going to get stinky a little bit, but it is one of those cheap, simple fertilizer that you can get. Comfrey is a nutrient powerhouse. It is rich in potassium and nitrogen. So you leave it sitting there for about 2 to 3 weeks, and you'll have a homemade liquid fertilizer that is excellent for your plants. Again, your tomatoes, your peppers, and your flowers will love this liquid fertilizer. Now, leaf mulch. Leaf mulch is nature's free fertilizer, of course. In the fall, don't waste your leaves. Just gather all of them, put them in a pile, add them to your garden beds. It is one of the best mulch in how you can protect your soil. You've seen in my garden, I have tons of leaves on my garden beds, especially the ones that are not being planted right now, to help protect against the garden getting waterlogged and against too much weather during the winter. And it will also improve the soil. So this is a very easy thing to do. You can do it in the fall. If you don't have any right now, that is okay. But next year, make sure that you keep your leaves and put it on your garden beds. Now, I've shared 10 soil hacks with you today. We've talked about compost, worm casting, we've talked about wood chips, manure, we've done some DIY fertilizers, we talked about seaweed, bone meal, and blood meal. What you're going to have to do is decide which one of these hacks is best for you. I know for myself, there's things that I already do. I use the liquid fertilizer with the comfrey and, of course, fish fertilizers and seaweed. I already do that. But what I'm going to do that is new this year is I'm going to try biochar and I'm going to try the mycorrhizal fungi. I've never used those two items in my garden. So when I do that, I'm going to film it, but definitely the mycorrhizal, I'm going to try and inoculate some of my plants before I plant them. The biochar, I'm going to try and add that to the soil. I am, of course, going to continue using compost and worm casting. You know I'm crazy about my worms. Go check out that video. And I already have wood chips and leaf mulch on my beds. In my pathways, I use wood chips everywhere because it helps keep the garden clean and less muddy. So this is what I'm going to try now. From all those hacks, you will decide what is best for you this year. Give one of them a try and leave me a comment down below. So thank you very much again for watching. Happy gardening. Make sure that you subscribe and you do all the clicky things, the thumbs up and all that, and we will see you in the next video. Happy gardening. Bye for now.